brings together millions of people in front of their TVs, in the stadium or on the field. Big matches in international competitions are very profitable for the organisers. Such success has transformed the whole experience and role of the football stadium. Now that the football business seems to be going strong, some Mancunian supporters have decided to fight back by creating a different kind of football club. When you think about Manchester, you imagine the red bricks of industrial England, the 80s and punk culture. But Manchester United, one of the wealthiest football clubs in the world, occupies a very special place in local people's minds. The numerous successes of the club and its legendary players have deeply marked entire generations of Mancunian supporters.
My oldest football memory of football game.
The very first game I attended.
First game was against Everton.
It was Manchester City versus Manchester United, or Manchester United versus Manchester City.
It was Bolton Wanderers away with Manchester United in 1978-79.
Manchester United were playing Ajax.
Against Wolverhampton Wanderers at Old Trafford.
Must have been about 8.
6 years old, 5, nearly 6.
Uncle took me, my brother, my cousin there.
We got taken to Old Trafford by my dad.
Sammy McIlroy opened the scoring. I can't remember who was scoring.
My father took me in a van, in the back of a van with other people. Everyone was drunk except the driver.
I think we lost.
I don't remember anything about it other than falling asleep on his knee in the main stand at half time.
It was carnage, the whole ground was carnage. There was a lot of fighting going on during the game as well.
I remember that and the crowd going wild.
Excitement of just being a small kid in a massive place, like, you know, it's scary but also really exciting.
You know, that happens with every supporter of every team. But for me, it was the moment I fell in love with Man United.
In this city, Manchester United is an institution. Every match day, Mancunians flood into the stadium to support their team. But football is not just a short moment in people's lives. It is also deeply rooted in the city. Historically, football played a social role. It helped people stay healthy and created cohesion among the communities. But it was also a way to teach and learn good values of masculinity during industrial times.
I think historically football clubs have been community organisations. If you look at the history of English football, British football even, the vast majority of football clubs that exist today came from community organisations. So they came from churches, they came from workplaces, they came from local areas. Manchester United began life as Newton Heath, which was a group of people who worked on the railway.
Since its creation in 1878, the Red Devils' social and sport history has been built around defeats and victories. A combination of events like Matt Busby and the Busby Babes, the Munich air disaster, and players like Bess, Law, Charlton got Manchester United in the spotlight and kept them there. Manchester United managed to keep a very high support, so when success came again, they were able to build on that, and they have continued to under Sir Alex Ferguson. Manchester United is one of the clubs which counts the greatest number of victories. But despite all these triumphs, the face of the club is changing.
What's happened to the football clubs in this country, as not just Man United, a lot of clubs, is they've had the heart and soul ripped out of them. Standing has been taken away from football for its own reasons due to health and safety, and from that prices have gone up. Prices to eat and drink within the football clubs are all expensive, and there's a lot of people in this country who've got very little money but still love that club. They put the heart and soul into travelling with that club all over the world and all over the country. Well, not every club travel all over the world, but as a Man United fan, you could have travelled all over to watch them in the 70s, 60s, 80s, etc.
The way Old Trafford had gone, it was stale, it was cold, it was unfriendly at times.
Father it was the 50th anniversary of Munich match when Manchester City beat us. And with 10 minutes to go, I was surrounded by a load of stewards that said, "We need you to sit down, we've been asking you to sit down." And they got funny with me, and the next thing I knew I was thrown out. So I wrote to the club and asked for an explanation, never got anything. Said we've been a season ticket holder for 20 years.
The divorce between the traditional supporters and their club is a complex process. Little by little, the football experience on match days is changing. The Taylor Report, published in 1990, following the Hillsborough tragedy, became the guiding light to increase security in the stadiums. Clubs are also adapting to a new kind of fan. Since deindustrialization, the middle classes have been increasingly present in the terraces. Manchester United is progressively becoming a brand. It has become a wealthy company, which, thanks to its spectators, makes a lot of money. The football ground has now become the new place of capitalism, while the sport has also become a new selling argument for the city.
Historic, for the last probably 20 years now, it has taken an approach which is Manchester is a place to come and do business, and it's to attract business. And then on the other side, it's taken an approach which is we will use sport and culture as a means of supporting that marketing and approach. So the Commonwealth Games in 2002, a whole series, World Cycling Championships, whole series of sporting events that they've used to try and promote the city as a destination, as somewhere that people will come and visit.
Manchester has changed, but the football grounds are a small part of a much more complex process. The city, its organisation, and the way of living it have been reshaped.
If you look at Manchester city centre now, Manchester the city, it's actually not particularly geared for working class Mancunians. For example, it's much more sort of global brands, and they're quite expensive, and a lot of people that now live in the city centre of Manchester are not from Manchester. Ordinary Mancunians can't afford to live there, it's too expensive, the apartments, that kind of thing, the shops. So ordinary Mancunians are sort of like pushed out to the suburbs.
The old industrial city has made way for more modern industries and architecture. Some neighbourhoods and areas have been entirely rethought and redesigned in the Greater Manchester. The City Council, along with developers, have changed the city and have tried to draw an ideal place to live in. Manchester seems to be adapting, but faced with all these changes, certain requests have been brought to light. In the football business, the team's success and the growing numbers of spectators have allowed certain people to become wealthy. In 2005, Malcolm Glazer, an American businessman, seems interested in buying Manchester United.
actual takeover in 2005, there was a number of different groups who were involved. There was IMUSA, the Independent Supporters Association. There was Shareholders United, who are now called Manchester United Shareholders Trust. And there was a kind of independent group called the Manchester Education Committee, and all of them undertook different kinds of campaigning really against the takeover, and they ranged from the shareholders organising shareholders together to try and vote against the takeover in the PLC, to raising questions at the general meetings, through to campaigns in and around, marches and demonstrations in and around the stadium.
Despite this protest, Manchester United was taken over, and it is during this period that the supporters imagined an alternative solution, a new club owned and managed by supporters, FC United. Today the club is renting Bury FC Football Stadium and plays in the Northern Premier League, far behind some other big English football clubs. Ambitions are very different.
Football's about belonging and that community and being in it together, and it gives you that. And you used to have that in abundance on the terraces in the old days. You don't get that now. It's a sanitised all-seater stadium. You can be in a different seat every game. If you've not got a season ticket, you're not making any connection with the people around you at all. You could all arrive at the match together as a group of friends, but you'll end up being sat in different parts of the ground. So it's lost that. FC's bringing all that back together.
Today, the club numbers about 3,000 supporter members. It is their club, their team, and it means something for each of them.
It's what you want it to be, you can get out of it what you want to get out of it.
It was like a breath of fresh air.
It's an ideal.
Yeah, I think it was going back to what it was like for both of us when we were younger, really. I mean, that's what everybody kind of says, like, it's going back to the days of the 70s, 80s and stuff like that, where you could go with your mates, out all day, and you could go into the ground and you'd still be all together,
I absolutely loved it. I thought it reminded me of the rave scene in England in 1988, because it was just a camaraderie.
It was going back in time to the 70s when I was a kid, and I used to stand in the scoreboard paddock cheering and jumping and getting away, and that's what brought it all back to me.
It reminded me of that whole music scene. I just thought it's something different.
The passion's back.
Match days have once again become real experiences. Supporters are all united. Football games represent a reason to meet and get together.
Run by volunteers. We've sourced everything in the bar ourselves, so we chose which beer we wanted to sell. We sourced it from the suppliers and get it delivered. A lot of the food that we do is donate, but the main thing about it, and we always think of it as a little bit of Manchester at the wrong end of the tram line, which is Bury, where we're unfortunately based at the moment, because Manchester's got a very entrepreneurial spirit. We do what we want. We look around and see how everything else is done around the country and around the world and think, nah, we'll do it this way. And it's great that we've got this venue where we can do whatever we want.
In 2005, supporters chose to turn their backs on Malcolm Glazer, but the club had evolved. Supporters are now able once again to take possession of what belongs to them, the terraces. The history of football is an idealised past, a base on which supporters can build and reinvent themselves. This is why supporters are seeking a more authentic football.
3 o'clock on a Saturday, which is when we usually kick off, then that was the workers, many of whom finished work, and then when they played for the work side, the good players, 2 o'clock they finished work, the hooters went all over the city, and people filed out of the docks, out of the factories in their thousands, hundreds of thousands, and the blokes had got some money in their hand and they'd go to the football.
They've held on traditions like the right for the fans to stand and watch what's going on, you know.
The supporters own their club and are unconstrained by the expectations of the Premier League. They are free to recreate an atmosphere and turn the terraces back into what they used to be.
I got a bus down to Lee on the very first game they were playing, and it was the supporters that day that made me sort of believe in my love for football again.
Excellent.
Yes, 100% better.
Loud.
The atmosphere at the game is brilliant, yeah.
Passionate.
It's good, the crowd's good, the singing's good.
It's good fun.
When you're not told what to do, when you're not told what you don't to sit down, when you're not told to do this, you feel more passionate about it and you feel a part of it and you feel as though your voice is being heard all the time. You know, you don't feel like a run-of-the-mill sheep, you know, going and paying £25. You feel sort of like valued, you know.
To achieve this, supporters have to be more active and be physically involved to prove that they are the last man of the team.
There's a lot of pressure on you as a goalkeeper anyway, but when you've got all the fans behind you, you know, and they're sat right behind you, it's not like you can run up the other end of the pitch and have a little quiet 5 minutes, you know, they're there behind you all the time. But to be fair though, playing for the club, it's good because everyone's always on your side, you know, no one's against you, so it gives you a good lift, you know, and it makes you proud to play for them, so it gives you that little bit of extra to make that bit of effort and do well for them.
Instead of going like, it's getting up and cheering and going "Woo!" when you score and throwing your arms, that's the whole electric thing about it, that's the buzz about it.
Because to watch football sitting down is pointless. You have to be able to stand and support your team as a group, singing, creating an atmosphere and also enjoying your time in the ground. If you don't enjoy it, which a lot of people don't enjoy going to Old Trafford, what is the point?
Self-management in the club has made this freedom possible. Free from the rules of hierarchy, supporters have learned how to reinvent themselves.
Well, it is because it's like the little man against the big man. It's
in the society these days, most people feel pretty disenfranchised.
We are just like meaningless people, but when we go to football, we stand together as a crowd. That means it means something.
You've got very little say in the things that are happening around you.
So when someone takes that identity away from you, i.e. Malcolm Glazier, it's time to form something new where you can be the crowd again, the majority, instead of being in like a little man.
It's making a difference. It's a club that truly is making it. It's not about Malcolm Glazer and United, and it certainly isn't for me, and I don't think it's for most people now.
And like when FC United was set up and it evolved into a supporters-owned club, and you get a tremendous sense of like pride and self-identity from belonging to it.
We're set up to make a difference, and if in my lifetime we can achieve that together, united, then I'll die a happy man.
You know, knowing that you're kind of participating in that process, and knowing that it makes you think differently because it makes you realise that actually you have got a choice. You know, you don't have to put up with the shit that's thrown at you sometimes, and you can actually do something about it, and you can do it in a positive and constructive way. And like, you know,
and we are going to struggle, and the club's got some difficult decisions to make as we go up the leagues, because we will go up the leagues, and we will have to conform to some extent to the stewarding and the pricing and the television, but we will fight it every step of the way and try and make that difference as we plough our furrow wherever that leads us, really. So, but the thing is, it'll be our choice. We won't have any board telling us what to do. We might have advice, but we'll have elected them, and it'll be our choice. And
that gives me a tremendous amount of like kind of like, you know, I get a lot of pride in being able to turn around and say to these people who would turn around and tell me that I haven't got a choice in them, to fuck off, basically.
The reason we can talk passionately about it is because, I can only speak for myself, but I'm sure it's replicated right through the membership, is that I actually feel like I own the club. You know, we own this club and we're shaping it. So what we do, everything's got the club's interest at heart. So
if you're getting back to identity, really, you're talking about a group of people who decided to take matters into their own hands.
Gathered all together within the same community, supporters can recreate social ties. The club has become more open. In the terraces, the faces have started to change. Matches have once again become weekly gatherings that everyone can join.
It brings a lot of different people together. Yeah, who would never have met each other.
Probably, yeah, we would never have met through FC United.
I met my cousin that I've not seen for 30 years at FC. Only just before Christmas. Bizarre. So I was bringing people back together.
Yeah.
This is how it feels when you don't sell your house to a door. House to a door.
Actually, it's quite cheap. It's, you know, it's affordable to, you know, you're not breaking the bank to actually go and watch a football.
That's the fathers and stuff. Like my nephew was 11 years old when he first went when we first took him to FC United, and there's lots of young lads like that. Now they're all about 16 and 17, and they're all going to match together to FC, and that's how it used to be for us, and it's great to see this happening again because they can afford to go.
From the start, it was me and the kids going to the football, and the first 2 seasons, my sister and my nephew went as well, and we went all over the northwest counties, which was the league we were in at the time, home and away, and it was fabulous. And then a little bit later on, about 4 seasons ago, when my wife started taking an interest, and we go as a family.
Yeah, I think it's a family club. More than anything, because there's no restrictions, you can sit where you want. If you don't want to stand up, then you don't have to stand up. You can sit with your family or go off and stand if they're married. And everyone that I've met since FC started, it's like a big family, and it's.
Women, a minority in the big stadiums, are often left aside from this very masculine sport, but are more and more present on the FC United sidelines.
They're more welcomed by this club, and they are involved in the club at all levels, at board level, in the community work, the volunteer work they do, organising match days. Yeah.
It's not like that at FC United, and I think it's just because the ethos is different and the character of the whole place is different. So that's why there's more women involved in FC United. So we just wanted to, we planned to do that anyway, you know.
It's quite equal, and I like that. It's like FC United, the secretary of the club is female. You've got a female nutritionist advising them. You've got physios that are female. You know, there is a lot of involvement. There's women on the board of FC United as well.
Anyway, the main question remains: is gender equality possible in a place where the people supported are mostly men? Football is also a local institution, a place where people build a future together.
Well, Cal Jacobs.
No, there's no. That's an FC.
We've got a thriving branch network. We've got that community, like Victoria says, coming together every Saturday. But in the week, there's nearly every week there's a branch meeting going on. If not every week, there's 2 next week. And there's always social functions going on at the Newton night at the end of the match last week. So it's a real impetus, a real thriving community. And then you've got social media, people are just, there's forums and the website, and people are just Facebook, they're on that all of the time. So you come together physically on a Saturday, but really you're connected by these strands right the way through your working week, and it's great.
The club, mainly composed of Mancunians, is a place to rethink the space and the environment, and a place to create projects for the communities.
I'm volunteer, yeah. I'm doing at the minute on the Wellbeing Project, which is about going to see people, mostly older people, who have not got family. Just go out and visit them and have a chat with them, have a cup of tea with them.
People, so the raising clothes for the homeless happens every New Year, or Boxing Day it was this year, or the Youth United Day, or the Women's Day. So there's quite a lot of different events that go on, different people doing different things and contributing, and that's what makes it's more than just a game of football. You could just watch that on the telly, couldn't you?
And this is the sort of thing why I love the club, because they do things like this.
I think our approach at FC United has been to say, the whole club is about our community engagement, and we're formed in legal structure. We're formed not as a private limited company, but we're formed as a community benefit society. So in the objects, the company objects, if you like, you know, it states that we must be of benefit to our communities, and we take that as being our supporter communities, and the main way we can ensure that is that supporters own the football club, but also in terms of our relationship with local communities, people in need, and so on. And that's why we've never created a separate organisation to do that work. It's always been within the club.
Through such initiatives, FC United has managed to reclaim certain facets of the city.
The kind of plays that we put on are for sort of ordinary working class men and women, and theatre, especially in England, traditionally is for sort of more middle class, and there's sort of parallels between football and theatre in the way that Premier League football is now very much for middle class people because they can afford it. Same with theatre is for middle class people because they can afford it, whereas we wanted to provide affordable theatre in the way that FC United provide affordable football. We got involved with FC United about 5 years ago by encouraging them to come and see our plays, and we would sort of write plays with them involved, and the relationship's gone from there really.
where we outlined the work that we were doing in terms of community improvement and education and around young people and volunteering and so on. And it was really saying to them, look, you have a whole series of objectives as a council around community regeneration that we can help you with. And one way we can do that anyway in terms of our outreach work, but one way we can really contribute to that in a more meaningful way is about developing a community football ground that provides a home for the football club, but also provides facilities for local communities to improve sports participation, health, education, training, all of these other things. And that's why the council have supported us in developing the ground. It's not because we're a football club and they'd like to have another football club in Manchester. That might be a small part of it, but it's not really why they've supported it. They've supported it because of the outputs that we're contributing in terms of community regeneration.
Today, FC United is a club without a ground. Supporters have always had the desire to build a place of their own, a place which feels like home.
When FC United started, we played all of our home games, or the majority of our home games, at Bury's Gig Lane ground, which is about 8 or 9 miles north of the city centre. And the idea was that we were always going to go back within the boundaries of Manchester and get as close to the city centre as possible. The original site of 10 Acres Lane, which is in Newton Heath, was proposed by the council and we accepted it. And we were in quite an advanced stage. Planning permission had gone through, the community shares were going very well. And then with all the government cutbacks and everything that was put in place, it was decided that wasn't a viable location for us.
Once this project was abandoned, Manchester City Council suggested a new site, the Moston Junior Football Team pitch. But the club had to face the objection of inhabitants who felt invaded by a club they knew little about.
They are going to be in partnership with FC United. We're not taking over a junior football club. They will be able to use the facilities the same as we can, and it is a partnership. It's not a takeover, and it's, in my opinion, it's a better site. It's a bigger site. It's going to be able to give us a lot more in terms of what we can do for our community side.
Oh, it'll be brilliant because basically North Manchester's sort of much. People there haven't had as many opportunities as in South Manchester. So there's a lot more people who've got, maybe haven't got transport to get to big events, haven't got the money to pay for their kids to get into things, or just haven't had as many opportunities. So we're a bit like the poor relations, in North Manchester compared with the South, where you've got a lot of students and lecturers, and it's a bit posher, basically. So living in North Manchester, we have to make the most of the things that we can get. And so this will really change North Manchester because it will be a hub basically where people can do all sorts of different sport. They can access football that's affordable and take part in all the community events as well. So it'll be really, really good, really good.
It's natural that a football club should be interlinked in all these different ways with communities, but also should be aware of where it's having impact. And that becomes particularly pertinent when you build a football ground in a particular area. It's to say, well, this isn't just going to be a football ground with a big fence around it and we will use it on Wednesday and Saturday. It's something that needs to be used all the way through the week. So that's why we're designing ours. So it's got sports facilities, but also meeting rooms and conference centres and so on within the actual building itself. And that's one way of helping to embed it and ensure that it's of use to other people other than ourselves. So when FC United was formed, there was some people who said, we have to have Manchester in the name. When the members voted on which badge to have, there was a number of different options, but it was the one with the in the centre of the badge is part of the Manchester crest, and that was very much part of it. And the desire has always been that FC United should have its football ground in the city of Manchester, and that, you know, those three things have always been very, you know, very deliberate.
You've got the heart enough. And it's Hilda Baker, Arthur Baker, Sikhs and Hindus, Buddhists, Quakers, Bellevue Aces, Ivan Major, Muncher Baker, Shaker Baker. But it's them Muriels or them Flemish Weavers, it's overexcited underachievers, it's Dry 201, and it's Saturday Night Fever and Fact 51, and I'm a Believer. And we say laugh, and they say laugh. We say path, and they say path. It's a fucking bath. It's working and thriving and trying and striving, ducking and diving and fucking and skiving, it's opera and ballet, Sir Charles and the Halley, it's Steve Bruce and Polly, it's Pride of Our Alley, it's gain education, it's young education, it's young on probation, on rock medication, it's Reapers from Spa, it's Hot Wire and Car, it's Foo Through the Mar, it's Manchester, na na na, Manchester, la la la.
FC United fans claim a more authentic football. This commitment has deeply changed them as supporters and has also reshaped their relationship to the community and to the city of Manchester, which they celebrate every week.